Alex Jones Gay Frog press conference. Big pharma chemicals creating homosexual biosphere. Ritual sacrifice compelled by a super blue blood moon. Sacrificial magic practitioners take advantage of powerful moon. Hillary Clinton, demonic warmonger. World War III has a higher chance of occurring with Clinton in the White House. Well, that's clearly outdated. I know what you're thinking. This is TikTok material, or at the very least, perfect satire. Unfortunately for us, they're all real titles, and they all have one thing in common. They're free. More than 1 million people have fled Ukraine. Congress passes historic anti-lynching bill. COVID Live updates, Puerto Rico drops its mask mandate. Now, these are articles that I can get behind. They're educational, they're to the point, they're $9.99 a month. This is a paywall. From Merriam-Webster, a paywall is a system that prevents certain internet users access to certain web content without a paid subscription. According to Reuters Institute of Journalism, 69% of newspapers surveyed across several countries were behind a paywall. The average cost to access that content, $15.75. The disconnect in recognizing truth and fiction comes from a lack of background knowledge and reasoning regarding news. So what do we do about this? Well, the answer is on the paywall. We need a shift in philosophy. Attention to content must improve. Most importantly, we need to forget about gay frogs and blood moons and focus on what really counts: factual reporting. So first, let's talk precedents. Yellow journalism. That doesn't look right. There we go, much better. According to the Office of the Historian, yellow journalism was a style of reporting that emphasized sensationalism over fact. While originating in the late 1800s and being one of many reasons that led to war between the United States and Spain, yellow journalism in some form or fashion is still alive and well today. Don't just take it from me though, take it from Hillary and her alien baby. Although the subject can be lighthearted and joke-worthy on the surface, the impact of misinformation and hyper-partisan news on this country is bone-chilling. 78% of US adults either believe in or aren't sure about 8 proven false statements regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. In the year of 2019 alone, more than 150 million views were accrued by fake news. This doesn't even include the years of 2020 or 2021, which saw a rise of rigged election articles. Dr. Soroush Vasui says that fake news garners more views than real and spreads more quickly. But most eye-opening of all, the share of Americans who believe in their ability to recognize fake news sites sits at a measly 26%. What kinds of real-world implications are we seeing from this? Let's look to an example many of you are likely familiar with. Though this article has since been taken down, its effects and the effects of Alex Jones's similar statements are still being felt today. Look to this tweet for more information. This tweet speaks specifically about crisis actors, and the term crisis actor is used frequently regarding mass shootings. In fact, we see that Google Trends show spikes in searches for the term crisis actor, with the largest being first after the aftermath of Sandy Hook and then in the aftermath of the Parkland shooting. Something else is occurring in this aftermath. The relentless torture of the families of these victims by people who truly believe that these elementary school students and faculty members are faking their own deaths. This goes far beyond the power of suggestion. This is a domino effect, a contagion of misinformation. The more it spreads, the harder it is to contain. But where exactly does this contagion originate? We must first begin by analyzing the Fourth Estate. In their book, The Elements of Journalism, Kovach and Rosenstiel say that the impact of journalism lies in the impact on the lives of people. Specifically, journalism is meant to act transparently and accountably in order to educate the masses on things that are going on in their everyday lives. We can see that in order to have a working and healthy democracy, we are reliant on an educated base. And because of that, we can see that the Fourth Estate is how it happens. First labeled as such by Edmund Burke in 1787, the Fourth Estate was meant to accompany the Commons, the Lords Spiritual, and the Lords Temporal within Great Britain. It was meant to serve as the great equalizer between the citizens of a country and the leaders of that same country. This led to what we now know as the free press in the United States. But what exactly is a free press? Protected under the First Amendment, the freedom of the press allows for spread of news content or opinion pieces without fear of censorship from the government. There are a couple of notable exceptions to this, such as libel and slander. But one of the major pieces of the free press comes from the marketplace of ideas. In his 1859 book on liberty, John Stuart Mills says that the free competition of ideas is what separates the lies from the truth. And while there are so many positives that come from the marketplace of ideas, it is heavily reliant on what the media allows. This begs the question, are we, through freedom of the press, granted a free press? If John Stuart Mill's assertions are true, it's time to question the ethicality of forcing people to pay for news content. This leads us to talking about the demonic warmonger in the room, paywalls. There are three types of paywall. Hard, which prompts an immediate subscription in order to view the content. Freemium, which gives you a specific period of time that you have free content. And metered, which gives you a number of different types of articles before prompting subscription. Now remember, the average cost to access this content is $15.75. This is per subscription, per source. If you want access to multiple sources, you have to pay for multiple subscriptions in order to do this. The impact: Reuters Institute of Journalism says that people are very much unwilling to pay for online content. And in the time period, the 6 years that they actually completed this study, very few people changed their minds. This leaves 20% of US adults actively subscribing to news content. While up from 16% in 2019, this still leaves 80% of the United States population actively choosing not to pay for news content, whether it's because they can't afford it and simply don't want it, or because they can't afford it at all. In fact, in the year 2017, 40% of US adults were struggling to pay for basic needs. This can be utilities or housing or even healthcare. If 40% of US adults are struggling for basic needs, then at least that many are also struggling to be able to afford this kind of content. Not only are we seeing a proliferation of misinformation when it comes to paywalls, but now we're seeing negative civic effects because people don't have access, fast and easy access to this type of news content. Meanwhile, when the Times or the Sunday Times implemented its paywall, it lost 90% of its readership. Meanwhile, when the New York Times implemented its paywall, heavy users decreased by 57%, light users decreased by 11%, and there was an overall decrease in the amount of people going to the website in the first place. Even the Harvard Business School says that the overall net impact of paywalls on a digital scale is negative. The bottom line, with the spread of misinformation occurring and the lack of ability to research and analyze content, the more likely we are to see an increase in cognitive dissonance and echo chambers. While articles like this, rife with falsities and misinformation, are a free-for-all. Disenfranchisement, inequities all come for the low price of spreading misinformation. Whether the solution is increasing ads on this content or following in Europe's footsteps and increasing the number of taxpayer-funded content, a solution is dire to curb the spread of misinformation at the hands of paywalls. And according to Rand and Pennycook of Scientific American, by even making a small push to recognize accuracy, the quality of content that people share increases. So I leave you with this question: what is the price of knowledge? While paywalls boast a monthly price of an established cost, I say that knowledge is priceless. While monetizing media is helpful to some, it is overwhelmingly harmful to others. Local news deserts are ever expanding, and paywalls further prevent easy and fast access to fact-based content. Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black once said that the press was meant to serve the governed, not the governors. In a world with paywalls, the average citizen is misinformed. In a world with paywalls, the press are weaponized by the governors. In a world with paywalls, everyone pays.